On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about No Exit by Fate's Warning. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we've stuck with the big three of progressive metal. Talking about Fate's Warning, a 1988 album called No Exit.
Their sophomore album.
Sophomore.
Yes.
I've never understood. People say it that way sometimes.
Sophomore.
There's one person in particular we're both thinking of right now that says it that way.
He's a legendary broadcaster.
Legendary sports broadcaster.
Les Halverson.
That works with us.
Worked. He's retired.
He's officially retired now.
Right.
But he would always say a 5'7" sophomore.
Yeah.
Amongst his other idiosyncrasies.
He was great.
He's an amazing play-by-play announcer.
There's a reason he's in the Hall of Fame.
But he's just like, it's just like there's little things that only Les does. It's like, why do you say it that way? We'll talk more about Fate's Warning in a while. First, what's up?
What's up,
my dude?
Shit, you know.
Oh boy. Hey, Rick.
What have I done lately? I don't think I've really done anything. I mean, the last time I talked to you, I had gone to Bismarck the prior weekend, right?
You went to Bismarck Mandan.
Yeah.
You went to the water park and you almost died.
Right. Yeah. Well,
not from anything specific.
Just from having moved.
You almost died the day after you went to the water park when you awoke.
But man, is anything really? Nothing has happened in my life over that period of time. It's been good. I've been living the life, you know.
Yeah. What have I done? Mm-hmm. What have I done? Yeah, I kind of also didn't do anything over the last week. Really, I've just been preparing for in-person D&D stuff.
Sure.
Still, I've been for the first time in like a couple of years. I'm spending a lot of money on like D&D stuff because
you're actually going to be BMing a game in person.
I'm going to be BMing.
What?
I'm going to be bowel movementing. I mean, if I was really committed, I'd have my chair for DMing be a toilet.
Of course. No way, no breaks.
Yeah. You don't have to get up the entire time.
That would be
12-hour session.
Way gross.
That would be incredibly gross. It'd be like those people who were so into World of Warcraft they would wear diapers.
Right.
So that it didn't have to get up in the middle of a raid.
I dated a girl who actually, just for fun, tested out diapers.
Just for fun.
Just wanted to see, just to see how much can these depends take? She and a bunch of friends.
No.
They spent all evening drinking beer. I believe they all got to a point where they went, I need a change.
I don't like it. This is one of the first stories from your life that you've told me that has made me actively in this moment uncomfortable.
I was not involved in it.
I know,
that was
but
part of our
like,
relationship.
But even so, like outside of just typical, retroactive embarrassment for things that stories you've told me, that grossed me out in this moment in the present. That's not. I don't know if it's better or worse that they were all hanging out. I think it's better that they were all hanging out.
Yeah.
And then just like they were just friends drinking and you have a weird group of friends, but it makes it not a sex thing.
Oh no, it was not sexy at all. It was there was no sex involved.
Look, I don't want to kink shame anybody, but I think for most people saying that it wasn't sexy at all, that goes unsaid. That doesn't need to be stated.
But you brought up the word kink there.
I know,
so,
but like it wasn't that for, and the group of friends thing. It's
I have to imagine that, like the scene from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. You ever seen that movie? Probably not. The older or the newer version.
It sounds like an episode. It's real quick.
Yeah.
Before your anecdote, it sounds like something that would be an episode of It's Always Sunny, where like the gang, whatever's their new scheme is testing out adult diapers for some. Like Charlie comes and just, I got a great plan to make us money today, gang. We're all gonna shit in these diapers. See how much they can take. And Frank just goes through like 40 pairs in a day because he's nasty. Anyway, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. What's your anecdote?
Imagine somebody, the line from that movie where, I have to use the restroom.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty. I don't even remember what we were talking about before this came up. This has changed my whole night.
I apologize.
What have you done? Oh, we were talking about D&D.
Oh, sure. Oh, we're talking about, yeah, because that would actually be handy for a D&D session.
Sure. Everybody wears a diaper. Nobody gets up.
This D&D session brought to you by Oops, I Crapped My Pants.
This D&D session brought to you by Depends.
How's this going to go? Depends.
I rolled a natural 20 for shitting my pants. You rolled a natural 1. You still shit your pants.
I'm gonna detect craps.
The spell detect craps. Nobody ever takes or uses that spell. By the way, in my time playing, no one has ever taken find traps. Mostly because I think with the people that I play with, don't the games that I have been a player in do not feature a lot of traps. In general, they don't feature a lot of dungeons in general. And so like find traps has just never had any utility.
I don't know if I've ever been in a campaign where there wasn't somebody. Well, it's usually a thief that has that is find traps.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look for traps.
Oh, is it? There's a spell in 5th edition that's called detect traps.
Oh no, this is a skill.
This was a skill.
Is a thief skill.
This now would be like perception. There would just be a perception check in 5th edition. Or investigation would probably be more appropriate. But there are the skills have been, some of the skills have been rolled into other ones. Like 3.5 had a lot more, like a fair number of more specific skills. That have been rolled into slightly more general ones. Like instead of making a knowledge blank check, it's just a history check or something. I do think that like history should have some subheadings to it. But I don't know. I don't really feel like homebrewing a tack-on system for that. But I bought some minis over the weekend. One of which I'm not sure if my cat ate.
A goblin.
Yeah, she is a little goblin.
And she was goblin, your goblin.
Yeah, I took some of them out of their boxes because they didn't have bases or anything. There weren't any parts I needed to glue on, so I just took them out of their boxes and I let them sitting on the table. I should have put them away, but I left them sitting on the table. And normally she doesn't mess with anything. I can leave little things sitting out, and she doesn't fuck with them.
Are you sure it was her?
I don't, unless it was a very, very particular ghost. Because I had a tiny little like dragon wormling that ended up on my rocking chair. And then one of the skeletons that I had bought ended up on the floor, and I have no idea where this little goblin is. Haven't seen it. Don't know where it's at. Hopefully she didn't eat it.
Yeah.
Her intestines are pretty small.
Yeah, it's in her tract somewhere.
She hasn't been acting weird, so...
Have you checked the litter box at all, or?
No, not yet. But this was... I mean, it would have passed by now, I guess. But then again, it's also, I mean, it's not big. It's a small mini.
It might be able to be hid within a turd if it.
I don't know about a cat turd though. But in any case, I would think there would be some discomfort involved, and she would be acting strange.
Sure, yeah.
And she's been acting normal, but also she's a cat, so her normal is being an aloof bastard.
Sure.
I love her. She's adorable. She's the light of my life, but she's a cat, and ACAB. All cats are bastards.
I have a teenager that has that on their wall,
but I think it means something different.
But perhaps,
for them, slightly. But yeah, I don't know what happened to that mini. I found a nice website I was telling you about. It's called I think it's called Miniature Marketplace or something like that, and they just have basically. I think I'm going to be using that all the time for a while, because I don't know what their shipping is like. I doubt it's within a week. That's probably asking for a bit too much. But if I have a vague idea of monsters I want in an upcoming game, then I can buy them there, because it'll be plus shipping, but like the prices all seem to be MSRP. Like most medium-sized creatures, regular-sized minis are like $5.
Sure.
Which is fine, perfectly fine by me, if they're unpainted anyway. But otherwise, if it's something I don't have, then I will just, rough it like I used to and say, hey, this Space Marine's roughly the right size, because I have a box of unpainted Space Marines from years ago, or just other D&D minis that I have that are the correct size profile.
Or this pencil eraser.
I could honestly just get like a bunch of bases, like a bunch of plastic bases that are the correct size, and use those. And it's like, just imagine there's a beholder there, and go with that. If I'm really desperate, I could use bottle caps.
Sure.
I have thousands of bottle caps in a drawer. Because I'm,
that's about an inch by an inch. I mean,
yeah,
roughly.
They're about the right size.
Yeah.
Also over the weekend, I got a bunch of my other D&D stuff. I got my spell markers I was showing you before we recorded, which like shows on a battle map the size of certain spell effects, because like cones are really difficult to visualize on the grid paper. They always have been for me. Figuring out like, okay, where are the edges of this cone supposed to be? Like what's this actually supposed to look like?
Need to get a protractor out.
Yeah, we never bothered with that, but it was just kind of like a vague, like, yeah, I think that looks right. But now I can just place that down and figure it out. And it's pretty convenient, I think. I also have a thing that I'll tell you about. I haven't settled on a name for it yet, but I got a special dice tray.
Sure.
That is living in the drawer of the nightstand that I moved over into the kitchen, because I never used the drawers in the nightstand.
Sure.
But it has its own special drawer. I think I came up with a name I liked earlier today, and I've forgotten it. But basically, if there is like a check that I think is vital and is like a potentially high drama check, like you have 2 failed death saves, and if you fail another one, your character dies, or you're attempting to do this really risky maneuver, and you want to see if it payoffs. I think this is inspired by the Box of Doom in Dimension 20, the College Humor's Dimension 20 series.
Right.
I remember the name I had for it. It was the Tray of Fate.
The Tray of Fate. The trait.
Because I found this dice tray. It's a large octagonal dice tray that also has a purple felt with a black raven on it. And in my setting, there's a deity called the Raven Queen.
Sure.
And I was like, this seems pretty cool to have. So whenever there's like a high drama check like that, I'm going to roll. And if I need to roll anything, I will roll that in front of the DM screen.
Sure.
In front of you guys.
So everybody can see.
And you guys will roll in it as well. Do you need me to turn the light the other way?
Maybe. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where I can't see you right now. You're gone. I have no idea. All I can see is
I'm just surrounded by a halo of light. Yeah. OJ, that's not the
lights aren't even on right now.
That's not the lights. No, that's just me, just surrounded by my true aura.
All right, it's gonna go up and turn. Man, those are quality lights. I'll give you that. But wow, that's bright. There we go. Wow. Woo. That's gonna leave some burn in right there. I'm gonna have a.
You didn't have your screensaver?
I didn't have my eyeballs. No,
your Windows pipes or whatever.
Right.
I miss that. I miss screensavers.
Yeah, those were cool.
Those were neat. Stupid LCDs being just better at everything.
Yeah.
I guess you can theoretically burn-in is possible with LCDs, but it pretty rarely happens.
Right.
It was kind of weird. Halo 2 it wasn't actually burn-in, I think, but it would like the game itself would within the instance of the game, there would be like a burn-in sort of thing that would happen. It was really weird, and I don't remember what the root cause of it was. It's not in the anniversary editions or the Master Chief Collection edition, but it's really, really quite odd.
Interesting.
Where it would do that and be like, oh God, did I just fuck up my parents' TV? No, because it would do that on CRT televisions.
Really?
Which burn-in is not a thing on CRT television.
It is not.
So it was really, really weird. I don't know. I don't remember what the cause of that was.
When are we going to get, do you think, all LED screens? What do you think that's going to
be? LED? You were staring at an LED screen.
Well, okay, yeah. You mean no, but I mean a screen.
No,
screen.
You're talking about like OLED.
Yeah, OLED, organic light emitting diode. Yeah.
I mean, like when are we going to get like affordable ones?
Yeah.
Like when are they going to be standard? Probably
like a decade or so.
Within the next 5 to 10 years, they'll probably be pretty standard. I think, but yeah, they're a little spendy right now.
Sure.
If I was going to upgrade all 3 of my monitors, I'd probably want OLED, but I'd probably want 4K and OLED, but right now that's nope. No, don't need that.
I have a hard time looking at 4K. I see it and then my brain goes, this is wrong. And I can't deal with it.
I don't know if I mean, you get diminishing returns after a certain level of lose them. I can't talk all of a sudden.
Okay.
You get like diminishing returns after a certain level of resolution where like the human eye cannot perceive a further level of detail. But I guess I haven't really watched a lot of 4K television. I don't know, like my parents got a new TV recently, but I don't know if that's 4K. And then Hannah and Josh have 4K stuff, but I'm so rarely like staying at their house, or if I'm at their house, like we're not watching TV.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. I'm good. Oh geez. I'm going to Fargo this weekend.
Are you going to Fargo?
Going to Fargo for more D&D stuff.
Nice.
Another one of our boys' weekends. While I'm in my half vaccinated state.
Are you not fully vaccinated?
Not fully, not yet. I've gotten one half of the Moderna. Bill Gates only owns half of my soul at the moment. I'm getting my other half next Wednesday.
Okay. So this weekend you won't. Well, I mean, even if you did get it right now, it's still another week or so until.
And I'm not going out and getting into big crowds and stuff.
You're gonna come back with COVID.
Probably, yeah. That'll be my luck. But no, it's just a bunch of fairly cautious nerds like myself. In a dude's house playing D&D. So. I'm not going to fucking Sturgis. We'll put it that way.
Maybe next year.
No.
I'm
never going to Sturgis. First of all, I don't own or ride a motorcycle. I don't know how to ride a motorcycle.
It's actually pretty easy.
Probably. I imagine it is. I can barely ride a bicycle safely. I so rarely ride a bicycle. Like it's been, I don't know how long it's been since the last time I rode a bicycle.
Weren't you riding a bicycle around, there was like a trail, like the Buffalo Trail or whatever?
I was walking that.
Was it you were walking that? I thought you were on a bicycle. Oh, no, you were just talking about getting a bicycle.
I was talking about maybe doing that, but I didn't. No, I walked around on that trail and almost got run over by bicyclists several times because there's not like a good nature trail anywhere near this town. And that's like the only one, but that's basically for bicyclists. It's basically for people on their mountain bikes and stuff.
You know, I am a motorcycle enthusiast. However, I also could never go to Sturgis.
Too many people.
I will never attend anything with the word rally in its name. It's just not going to happen for me. I can't deal with.
Well, and for me, it's I have always understood the appeal of a motorcycle for so many people is like freedom out on the open road. How do I want to express that?
Yeah.
I want to go to this town with 100,000 other people and get drunk in extremely crowded bars while we're being served $14 beers. Because that's the true essence of freedom on the open road, is being stuck in this town with so much traffic. Yeah, that just doesn't sound... Sturgis sounds like the exact opposite of my favorite type of place.
Right. I think about it and it gives me a panic attack just thinking about it.
If I'm going to a festival of some sort, if I'm going to a large gathering of people, it better be either a death metal concert,
right,
some sort of nerd con, which I've never gone to one of those either, or a Renaissance festival, which is basically a nerd con, but more specific,
very specific
and outside with swords and stuff.
I actually went to a Star Trek convention once in my 20s. Yeah, it was great. It was fun. The actor who played Gul Dukat on Deep Space Nine was the
I don't know,
designated speaker. Have you not seen Deep Space Nine at all? Or?
No, I've most of my Star Trek knowledge is via osmosis and the occasional episode of Next Gen that I would watch.
Sure.
Because it was on they would do reruns on I think BBC America would often have Next Gen on in the afternoon.
You should really do yourself a favor and just go watch the original series.
Yeah.
It's not very many episodes. It was true. Just 2.5 years of Star Trek.
Yeah. I ought to give it a shot. A lot of people, although I do know a lot of people say that you could skip season 1 of Next Gen. You could, and
I wouldn't.
Bits of season 2 and stuff are some people have told me kind of skippable. But the last I think it's the last couple episodes of season 2 are really important, and then 3 is where things really
pick up.
And it becomes the Next Gen that everybody talks about, basically. But yeah, you were talking about Star Trek con that you went to.
Oh, yeah.
Did they have a reconstructed bridge there? I know that's a thing that usually happens at Star Trek conventions.
This was in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Okay, so it was not high status enough for something like that.
Right. Yeah, this was in a hotel. Most of the people at the convention were staying in the hotel. I mean that's how it usually works.
Yeah, but
your bigger conventions branch out to other hotels.
Yeah.
As far as people staying in them. But
yeah,
and I did have a few panic attacks at this one.
Oh well, that's always nice.
Yeah,
I mean I think substances are a big thing when going to any sort of if I'm going to a Renaissance fair. You best believe I'm going to be drinking a lot of mead that day.
And it makes me sad, going to a big concert or a festival, which, I love live music so much, but I will not remember parts of it because in order for me to do it, I have to be at least somewhat loaded.
Yeah. Well, the Warped Tour, that was most of the time when I was going to Warped Tour, that wasn't an option. unless I wanted to.
Right, because you were 19 and 20 years old.
Yeah, unless I were to convince a friend of mine to bring some drugs in, but we weren't that kind of group.
Sure.
But like, also, alcohol is the last fucking thing that I would want to drink at Warped Tour because it's 97 degrees out in the fucking swamps in Minnesota.
Sure.
And I'm already sweating buckets. None of it is evaporating. I'm dehydrated enough. I don't need to add alcohol into the mix. I think I had one beer the last year I went, which was the first year I was 21. Mm-hmm. I had a beer and I was like, yeah, I don't need any more alcohol. We're good.
Why did they get rid of Warped Tour? Why did they cancel it? What happened?
I think Kevin Lyman, who is the guy who organized it every year, basically just said like, we're starting to see kind of declining ticket sales. Sure. And we're not, we're sort of, we feel like we're losing our demographic a little bit. And,
right.
Sorts of warning signs and seeing the writing on the wall and reading it and going like, let's stop. Let's put the brakes on this before it gets sad.
Right. Let's not get bad before.
Let's go out with a bang instead of a whimper. It. Let's announce, hey, this is the last Warped Tour. Let's make it big. And that's what they did. Instead of letting it, slow down to a trickle or become something completely different.
Right.
And I think for him, it was like, he was getting old essentially. And it was like, this is.
How old is he?
He's like in his 60s. He's retirement age.
Sure.
But he's just like, this was like my life's work. And I want this to, be my thing. And I want it to end being my thing. Mm-hmm. Possibly. This is conjecture from my part, but this is the feeling that I got
right.
In general from what I remember reading at the time. But this was 4 years ago now, or no, 3 years ago. I think in 2018. 2018 was the last one because that's the one I didn't go to. I didn't go to the last year
because of the fair.
Because of the fucking fair.
Yeah.
Because it was the day of the. Because that year I worked one day at the fair, but it was the same day as Warped Tour.
I think they might have given it to you.
They might have, but I didn't. It was also like my second month working full time.
Sure.
I didn't want to do that. Essentially,
I get it.
I'm not a very assertive employee. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Anyway, hey, I said the thing.
You did.
Do we want to talk about Fate's Warning?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So Fate's Warning is an American, right?
Yeah.
American.
Yes.
From Connecticut, and an American progressive metal band. They're known as one of the big three of progressive metal, alongside Dream Theater, who we talked about last week, as well as, who was the other one?
I'm trying to think
according to Wikipedia. Queensryche.
Oh, Queensryche. Yeah.
Is
from Seattle, yeah.
Yes. The sort of the big three of American progressive metal and just progressive metal in general. Like prog rock was a thing for so much longer.
From the 60s.
Like progressive metal didn't really start until like the mid 80s, basically.
I think Queensryche's first album was in 86 or 85.
Yeah.
And their first album was 86.
Yeah, but like progressive rock, yeah, like you said, it starts, late 60s onward. And to this day, there's lots of progressive rock bands out there. But progressive, no one ever thought, what if we did metal, but we made it weird until the mid 80s, I guess.
No, Voivod. That's not what we meant.
We didn't mean that.
You're
Voivod.
Great. And hang on to that. But no, we were talking about something different.
Talking about something maybe a little bit more, a little bit different. So yeah, No Exit came out in 1988.
Yes.
And this was, like you said, their sophomore album. And I noticed like there was some, I can't remember what song it was, but like one of the first riffs, I listened to that. I was like, because for some reason I thought this album came out in the early 80s.
Right.
Before I remembered it was 88.
Right.
And I heard a riff and I was like, that sounds like a death metal riff. Like none of the vocals are, but there was a riff that really sounded like it was, one of those heavily distorted, like tremolo picked, like death metal riffs. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is late 80s, because it was not the sort of thing you would have heard earlier in the decade, I think.
If you go through a lot of Chuck's guitar work.
Oh yeah, the dude was a massive progressive metal fan.
It's definitely progressive metal in there. I mean,
Sound of Perseverance is basically a progressive metal album, but with screamed vocals. It's leans a lot less into the death metal side of Death, which is ironic because they're the death metal band,
right?
But,
and what was it in? I forgot what was in his other project.
Control Denied.
Control Denied, right?
That was,
and he actually sings.
Yes, that was basically just a straight progressive metal band, more or less. Fate's Warning. This album is also interesting because it's like, when I think progressive metal and I think of like Dream Theater,
right?
Like their guitar tone has been, all over the place over the years, always been very refined and very dialed in, but like. There are times where, and like, this is not as dialed in, but like, there are times where Petrucci uses, a slightly heavier tone or slightly more distorted, but most of the time it's not super heavily distorted. But this was like thrash metal guitar tone to it, which I thought added a lot of like atmosphere, like a lot of progressive metal that I've listened to that's not like extreme progressive metal, like Gojira or Meshuggah, basically, like like on the extreme end of things. Most of the other progressive metal I've heard is kind of slightly faster and heavier progressive rock, the way that Dream Theater is. Where this was like, oh, this is in the middle ground of those two, where like the guitar tone is heavier and makes it clear that this is a metal album, but it's not to the extreme of some other bands that would come later. And I guess like I guess today there are certain Mastodon songs that split that difference pretty well. Yeah, where it's like, okay, this is a metal band, but this is not like, extreme stuff. Their middle period albums, I think, are most like that. Like
a lot of song crafting.
Yeah. Like Crack the Sky and Blood Mountain and The Hunter and whatnot are.
And Going One More Time Around the Sun.
Going One More Time Around the that's the phrasing there. Like those are, I think, those albums split that difference as well, where it's like, this is not as heavy as something like Gojira, but it's still metal. There's
supposed to be a new album this year, supposedly.
A lot of bands I feel like have stuff coming up. Excited about. It'll give us plenty of fodder. Because I think there's a lot of bands who have had nothing to do for 17 months. So yeah, I'm excited. Does this album slap?
Yeah, it slaps.
Yes, it slaps. Slaps the hell out of you. Slaps the hell out of you.
Slaps the hell out of you. And here's the thing is that I actually had to investigate this album. This was an investigation for me.
Because you had to do some sleuthing.
I did. I mean, I'd never heard of them. It was 1988.
The year
was 1988. And
the year was 1988. There I was, sitting on my desk in my office when this broad walks in. She was all legs.
Legs up to her neck.
By that, I mean she was an abomination of God. But there she was, carrying in her purse an album. What did it say? Fate's Warning. I knew I had to know more.
And
that's me audio dramaing a cigarette noise.
Yeah, right. That was a very nice noir cigarette.
Yes. So, please continue with your story.
I was at Nepalmart in Angeles City, the Philippines.
Okay.
Which is their big shopping mall.
Like a bazaar.
It's a bazaar. Yeah, it's open air. I mean, there's like a
canopy,
a pseudo roof, but it's just like a grid maze of crazy shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. Well, it was a shirt seller, and they had one shirt that was Metallica Damaged Incorporated.
Ah, yes.
And it was purple. It was a purple shirt and had the pus head design of the skull with the.
Is that where David Ayers and Jordan Leto got the dumbass idea to put "damaged" in purple letters tattooed on the Joker's forehead?
I don't know.
It should have said "Damaged Incorporated," and it would be like, it's like that T-shirt I saw in the Philippines that one time.
So I bought it.
You bought it. Of course you did.
Of course I would buy this. It's
you have to.
It says the name of the song is trying to portray wrong, and it's fucking purple.
Yeah.
Which I don't.
Not a very Metallica color.
No, it's not. So I had to buy that. And then behind it, there was this white T-shirt that just had this box on the front of it, and it had the cover art,
album art
to the album No Exit, which was
The album art is a little.
It's very 1980s.
It's very 1980s,
Yeah.
and it looks like something that you would have designed in like an 80s like graphic design software.
Right.
Like you think of like metal albums in the late 80s, and you start getting into like Dan Seagrave like death metal album covers,
right? Where
it's super like meticulous, like over designed, meticulous monstrosities on the cover.
But it's drawn, it's hand drawn.
This is
not hand drawn.
This is like vaporwave.
This is
shit.
This is like a really top of the line video game for 1984.
Yes, this is Elder Scrolls 1 Arena. Yeah. I actually don't know when the first Elder Scrolls came out. I think it was early 90s.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, what is Fate's Warning? And then I had to ask some people around school, and they're like a progressive rock band. I had to seek out this album, and I did, and I loved it. Like, this is great. Also, the fact that it's a reference to Jean-Paul Sartre.
Jean-Paul Sartre.
Yeah.
Jean-Paul Sartre.
Who,
How do you pronounce that fucker's name?
I think it's, I always hear John Paul Sartre. That's what I hear.
Sartre?
Sartre or whatever.
Yeah, it's one of I usually don't have trouble with French, but for some reason that one I got trouble with.
I always think of him as being a philosopher from ages gone by. I always forget that he died when I was in grade school.
Well, it's like Picasso.
Yeah,
people forget most of the time that Picasso died in the 70s,
something like that.
Like he did, you think of so many other great masters of art, and they're from hundreds of years ago.
Right.
It's like, no, Pablo Picasso
lived in the 20th century.
Yeah, one of his most famous works was a depiction of war crimes that happened in the 30s.
Right. 40s.
No, it was the Spanish 30s? Civil War.
Right.
Guernica.
Right.
It's the Spanish Civil War, so that was the mid 30s.
And Dali. I mean,
Salvador Dali. Yeah.
Right, you go, here's a painter from many moons ago, and I saw a picture of him hanging out with the fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah.
He's just a recent weird dude.
Yeah.
That made weird paintings. Mm-hmm. Or like even Van Gogh. Mm-hmm. is fairly more recent. I can't remember when
did Van Gogh die?
Yeah, I want to say it was
Van Gogh?
Early 1800s, or maybe it's mid. Vincent Van Gogh. He died in 1890.
1890. Oh wow.
So even more recent than I thought. Mm-hmm. But yeah. The album cover, as you were saying, is not it is no starry night.
It is no starry night.
It's cool though.
Yeah, but I was saying the title of the album is a reference to Sartre.
He
wrote a book called No Exit.
Okay,
that's where his famous phrase "Hell is other people" comes from.
Okay. Hell is other people.
Hell is other people.
The members of the band on the personnel. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh, because it's including engineers and mixers and stuff.
Right.
I was gonna say wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, there's like 15 people in this band.
Ray Alder on vocals.
Yeah, this is his first album with them.
Jim Mattheos on guitar.
Yeah.
Mattheos.
Mm-hmm.
Mattheos. Frank Aresti on guitar.
Primal songwriter.
Mark
Castiglione.
I had to do the little. I had to pinch my finger in.
Oh, your mama, she make a nice Castiglione.
Steve Zimmerman.
Yeah.
On drums, Joe DiBiase on bass.
Joe DiBiase.
And those are the members of the band at this time. They would go through some other lineup changes later on in their career. Technically still around, I think.
Are they still playing?
I don't know if they're still playing, but they're.
I mean, they're still. Most of them are still alive.
Yeah, they're still listed as active. Yeah, they're still listed as active. I don't know how much. I mean, obviously not in the last 17 months, but did they had? I think they had a new album come out recently. I wasn't aware of this.
You're looking at their discography?
Yeah, their discography has a black, the band member timeline has one of those long bars on it.
Sure.
What's the album called? Long Day, Good Night is what it's called.
Really?
It was released in November
like that movie
of 2020.
Movie with Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. Actually, that was The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Okay.
Entirely different.
Yeah. So I didn't know what that one was.
Let's just forget I said anything.
It's okay.
We'll move forward.
It's okay. I should know my Sam Jackson movies. I don't know a lot of early Sam Jackson movies.
That movie is an extremely underrated movie.
All right. Gina Davis, Samuel Jackson.
Yep. Right. It was one of two that Gina Davis did with Rennie Harlan. That one and... was it Treasure something? The hell was
it? Treasure. Oh, is it the weird pirate one she was in?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Cutthroat Island. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, because you know what Gina Davis would be great as the lead in a pirate movie because it's the mid 90s and pirates are in.
All of that is no. But I mean, the funny thing is people poo-poo that movie. I enjoyed
sure it was very fun
for being the stupid period action movie that was. I enjoyed it.
Well, and it's like it just came out at an unfortunate time because, however many years later you have Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a massive success.
Well, that was many years later, though.
But that also had Disney behind it.
Right.
So, and an established a name, even if it was for a fairly hokey, theme park ride.
And it had great theme park ride.
Yes. It's a good theme park ride.
Yeah, it smells like mildew.
I haven't been on it since I was 8, but...
and of course it had what's his name, Johnny Depp and
Orlando Bloom, fresh off of Lord of the Rings, Keira Knightley, that one British actor who's always good in everything who plays Keira Knightley's dad. I can't remember his Jonathan Pryce. Yes, he's great. But speaking of theme park stuff, something that a sense memory that recently has been occurring to me that I associate with theme parks and specifically I associate with like Florida.
Yeah.
Is that feeling where you're waiting in line for like a dark ride and there is like a water feature next to you, like some sort of a waterfall. And you're getting inside of the dark ride. So you're right at the doorway. Cold air is blasting out.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
From the air conditioning. And you've got the mist coming off of the water next to you. And then you've got the humidity next to you. And it's like this vortex that
and feels a hot day.
And it feels really nice.
Yeah.
I associate that so strongly with like Disney World and Universal Studios Florida.
Right.
I associate that feeling with those parks
so there used to be
really strongly.
An underwater adventure where you get on a submarine, you look at dumb shit that's underwater, but we rode it every time. And I remember one time going on that ride, I had to have been like 7 or 8 years old. and my grandmother said something that ultimately I think would gel in my mind in a counterproductive way to what she was actually trying to communicate.
Okay.
To me, because
I'm excited.
we're behind these two guys, and they were getting on the line too, and they smelled kind of funny, kind of like a skunk, and they were laughing uncontrollably.
They were obviously having a great time.
My grandmother says, "See, those guys are on marijuana."
Oh, where do I get some?
File that for later. Yeah.
They look like they're having a really good time.
Yeah. They don't seem to be
They're not bothering anybody other than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I suppose. I remember when I was in high school, we were on, I think, a field trip to the Heritage Center in Bismarck.
Sure.
And we went to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings, which the one by the Civic Center in Bismarck. And we were like waiting in line, waiting to be seated. And this group of people walked into the entryway there. And holy shit. It was like they were carrying the fucking hot box with them. Just the most intense marijuana, like secondhand marijuana smell I've ever gotten without there being a lit joint present.
Were you getting a contact high? Were you?
I may have.
Just smelling these guys, I kind of want a bag of chips and a Pepsi.
It's a good thing we're at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's like they walked in and me and my classmates like looked at each other just like, God damn. They must have been fresh out of their hot box. Holy shit. Just extremely strong. I cannot overstate.
I used to have a customer when I dealt blackjack who many years prior to that had been a coworker when I dealt blackjack.
Okay.
But he had gotten fired for smoking pot on the job. And so he would come back in and play bingo and whatnot, and he would smell, of course, heavily of pot. And I kept wanting to go, dude, when's your birthday or whatever? I guess it doesn't matter. I want to get you just like some Aqua Velva or something you can spritz on.
Something, just
I don't mind the smell. Yeah, give it a go, man. Give it a shot.
Try anything. It's like people who I've seen pictures of like game stores, like hobby shops, hobby stores. Where they sell deodorant.
Sure.
They have a little rack of deodorant and they're like, hey, do you want to play in this magic tournament? Put this on.
Look, you're 13. Maybe nobody's told you yet. But something happens.
It's not for 13-year-olds.
Oh, really? It's for the adults?
It's for sweaty gamers my age.
Oh.
That like I think there's plenty of people who play like trading card games and stuff that are well into their adulthood that spend hundreds of dollars on magic cards but can't spend $5 on a stick of fucking deodorant. Or taking a shower in the morning.
Well, the guy that I was talking about occasionally, because he and I used to occasionally go out and smoke pot together, like outside of work. He'd be there and he'd be saying, "Hey OJ, I'll be out in my car when you get off of work." And I'm like, "No, everybody, I'm not gonna smoke pot in the parking lot. Just for the record, that's going to get me fired if I did that, because that's why he got fired from here." So no,
I wouldn't be doing that.
I'm not going to be doing that, just so you know.
And then would you go and do it?
Of course. Yeah. He's dead now.
I feel bad for laughing, but that's how so many
of my stories end that way. Yeah, I'm at that age.
I feel bad for bursting out in laughter there, but that is kind of the way the story had to end.
Actually, had you met this guy and he was telling his own story, that's how he would have ended it, just to make you laugh. Because I suppose he was that kind of weird.
That was I just watched before you got here video of John Cleese talking at Graham Chapman's memorial service back in the early 90s or whatever it was. Good riddance, you freeloading bastard. I hope you fry.
Just as you were the first person on
Say
the BBC
shit on national television. You could, at least, for starters, be the first person at a British memorial service to say fuck. It's like, look, you're at the memorial service for a member of Monty Python, okay?
Yeah.
Expect shenanigans. Yeah, I don't know what happened with who died last
Terry
last
Jones?
year. Yeah, it was Terry Jones.
Yeah.
It was Terry Jones that passed away.
Terry Jones, who had the best drag in all of Monty Python. Anytime he showed up in drag, I was like,
Yep.
Good Lord, that's a hideous woman. Hello, I'm your mother, and I'm here.
I think that's why.
That's why it works so well.
That's why. Oh, God. Monty Python's fucking great. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite song on this? So there is a caveat. There is half of the album is one track.
One track, even though it's actually 8 songs.
It's 8 songs. Dream Theater did the same fucking thing with 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, where the last what is meant to be the last track. It's actually the opposite situation where this is meant to be one composition, but on releases of the album, like digital releases, it's been split into 8 tracks. This is the opposite, where it is, one main track, but there's 8 parts to it that have been that are named and split up. But on my digital streaming service, it was one 21-minute track.
And the service that I streamed it off of was called a cassette tape.
Yeah.
So that's where.
So you didn't have any of that.
I didn't have any separation of any shit. I mean,
none of that shit.
I didn't know. I think the aggregate of dreams. You're looking at that and you're going, well.
You mean I thought you said the aggregate of dreams.
The aggregate of.
It's the ivory. The ivory gates of dreams.
Yeah, the ivory gates of dreams. I don't consciously split that up into other parts. It
is fairly seamless.
Yeah, I always feel like it's one unit, and it's great. It's 23 minutes.
It's
long.
It's one composition.
Right. And I love almost all of it. And, I love how it ends, and just with that acoustic guitar part,
sounds great.
Just a beautiful melody.
It's great. But is that your favorite song? Because that's what I wrote down as my favorite song.
My favorite song is actually In a Word. That's the song that always sticks. That's the song that will jump into my head for no reason. It has ever since I got this goddamn thing 33 years ago. It
lives in your head rent free.
Yeah, just the opening.
As the Zoomers are fond of saying.
Yes.
Lives in your head rent free. I think it's a good phrase. It's a good turn of phrase.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember which one that is.
It starts with an acoustic guitar part.
Now I remember.
We were born to break a weather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I remember. That's also a very good track.
Yeah.
Can you think of which one is the one that starts with like the death metal?
I
riff?
Can't off the top of my head. I mean, there's so much of this that just has that seeded throughout. Yeah,
there's little bits of, it's a prog metal album. So there's little bits of all kinds of genres in there. There's little bits of thrash, there's little bits of death metal. It's 1988. There's little bits of everything that you can identify. They maybe didn't mean for that to be
right
the way, but you will always unconsciously borrow elements from your contemporaries and that sort of thing. And if you're listening to it years after the fact,
right,
it's easier to identify those little bits.
And if you're trying to be something that people can relate to and you don't borrow from any of your contemporaries, you are going to be 100% unsuccessful.
Yeah, I suppose.
You have to make it sound like something that people understand.
Yeah. If you want people to relate to it, it has to sound like something they've heard before.
Right. That would be like writing a book in a language you just made up.
Calm down, Tolkien.
But he
didn't write the book in the language. But
he wrote a language for it.
He wrote a book for the languages he made. basically is the joke. It's a lot more complicated than that. The joke is, Tolkien made up Elvish and then decided to make a whole world and universe and book series for there to be a reason for him to have a fake language. There's a lot more to it than that, but a similar situation for sure. What medal are you bestowing upon this, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I have to, for personal reasons, give it a gold.
I'm giving it a gold too.
Yeah.
This is my sort of shit. I like this. This is good stuff, and I want to go back and listen to it again. And I think like Prague is that sort of thing where, like any album worth its salt, you can go back and listen to and pick up new stuff. But I think progressive anything is double that, where it's like there's always going to be little bits and flourishes and little pieces
where you go,
that you missed the first time, and little details that you go, that's really cool. Like there's always going to be little bits like that that you can go back and listen to. Like a lot of times when I re-listen to a Dream Theater album, I will go in with the intention of like, this time I'm only going to listen for the bass. I'm only going to listen for the bass and see what that sounds. Yeah.
Right.
Full Meghan Trainor it. My idol Meghan Trainor.
Of course.
But yeah, I think Prague is one of those things where it's like, if it's any good and you want to re-listen to it, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of it.
It's like getting a lot of burn, like early flat screen monitors.
Yes. This is no risk of burn-in. These albums don't need a screensaver.
Right.
Okay, so next week, we talked about this last time. I think we've talked about it at the very least, the two of us. I don't remember if
not
we were
on
recording.
the podcast, or
I don't remember. We're going to be listening to the newest album by a band called Mizmor. It's called Cairn.
We have not talked about it.
It's like a blackened doom metal or doomed black metal album. It's sort of up in the air as to, how much peanut butter, how much chocolate.
Sure.
But
I like black and doom metal. I mean, especially with some fries and coleslaw and a nice sweet tea.
Yeah. There we go.
That is awesome.
They're two flavors that taste good together. And so I've been listening to this. I've been listening to just Mizmor stuff a lot lately. I was looking for this vibe. I found.
You were looking for this vibe because of Gatecreeper, wasn't it?
Because of the Gatecreeper EP that came out. It's not quite the same thing as Gatecreeper, but I came across this again because I'd listened to a little bit of Mizmor before, and I came across it again because I was actively looking for like what's doom metal with a really gnarly guitar tone and harsh vocals, and Mizmor came up and I was like, oh yeah, Mizmor's a thing. Let's listen to that. Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. This is really good. So yeah, next week, Cairn by Mizmor.
Cairn.
Until we get to next week's episode, you can follow our pages on Twitter and on Facebook. We'll post episode links there. If nothing else, it's a good way of figuring out when episodes are coming out, and then you can listen to them on your preferred device, iOS, Apple Podcasts, or we also are in the Google Play Store on the Podcast Source app, because I don't know how to get us on the whole wherever podcasts can be found. I don't know how to do that.
Right. You just pay Libsyn and say, do the thing.
I'd probably have to pay more people more money to get us wherever podcasts are found.
This comes up on my Apple device.
Yeah, it used to be that's all you needed, but there are other things now.
Right.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.